Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this watch should look very familiar to you. Now, this has a blue dial, but you should recognize this watch in 2015, about 6 years ago. The black dial SRP 637 Prospects Diver was released. You could get it for $300. Over time, it became known as the Baby Tuna. Yes, this was known as the Baby Tuna. Not really a baby of a watch. I mean, it's 47.5 across the bezel. It's got 50 millimeter lugs, and it's almost 14 in height. So there's not really anything baby about it. Now, this blue version, which was released in the last year or so, is the SBDY 055. And so it has a dark blue dial and a yellow second hand. Has a yellow second hand, so it's a little different than the monochromatic, but you know, other than that, it's the same watch. And people who like Seiko, they like this watch a lot. They've called it the Baby Tuna. It somewhat has a cult following. Seiko enthusiasts will tell you this is one of their favorite designs over the last decade. They'll tell you that this is one of those watches that they've sold, rebought, It's got that kind of rebuy cycle like the Tuna. They'll tell you that they like staring at the dial for long periods of time, that there are details in the dial that are just so stunning that they'll just stare at, which is dangerous if you're driving your car. Ladies and gentlemen, do not look at your dial of your watch as you're driving your car. And they gave it the Baby Tuna name, and I refuse to call this the Baby Tuna. It's not a baby. It's bigger than the original Tuna. It's bigger. It's bigger because, in part, it has lugs. And it's a little bigger across the dial as well. So let's just not call it the Baby Tuna. I mean, I wouldn't even call it the King Tuna, because there are actually big tunas with spring drive movements that are very, very, very worthy of being the name King. I think what we should do, because it has lugs, and because the lugs are like the Seiko monsters, and because it has the raw steel bezel, I think we could call this a King Monster. Almost. I think this could be the protege for the King Monster. I think to be the King Monster, you would need to put sapphire on it. And I say that in part because Seiko is already taking a couple of their models, the Samurai and the Turtle, and they're putting sapphire on them, and they're calling those, you know, the King Samurai, the King, you got the King Turtle. And the other thing that makes this a monster is the original bracelet is the same bracelet as on the monsters, except it's 22 at the lug instead of 20. Now, as you can see, I've got mine on a Super Engineer. It looks good on the Super Engineer. I'm not going to recommend it. No. I'll tell you why. It's just too heavy, number one, and there's no taper on the Super Engineer, and that 22 heavy Super Engineer bracelet that doesn't taper, you feel it, and not in the best way over the long run. You know, if you want to wear it all day, if you're wearing this on your vacation to Oahu and you're wearing it all day and night, you're going to feel it. And so for Father's Day, my wife's getting me the N mill made by Strap Code, and it's going to lighten the watch, and it's just going to probably, and I had the black dial version on an N mill, and I remember comfort was not an issue, so I'll have that in about a month from now. Now, pricing. These are selling for about $530 on eBay. Noman sells them for $620, and they're sold out. I think that's pricey. Now, I got mine used on eBay. The gentleman was asking $450. I offered $420. He accepted the offer. He had bought his new Gnomon 3 months earlier. He only wore it at the office a few times. It arrived in mint condition, so I'm glad that I bought it used. I just didn't want to spend too much more than $400, especially knowing that it went 300 brand new. So for the last couple watch purchases, I've gone a little lower. I went to the 4th generation Monster, and now I have this this Prospex diver, which I would propose should be the King Monster. And it's interesting. I got these in mind because, well, for 2 reasons. One, I've been climbing luxury with Seiko, and I have on my wrist right now, I have the very beautiful SBDC 061. This is when they had more powerful loom, and their watches were going for about 800, and then they went up to the $1,200 Captain Willard and the new MM200s, and I have those, and honestly, they satisfy me for the amount of luxury I need. I didn't feel like spending $3,000 on an MM300. Omega's nice, but I've never been in love with Omega. Grand Seiko GMTs, those are pretty gorgeous. Those are about $5K. I don't know if I could wear a $5,000 watch on my wrist, honestly. I don't know. And but I really wanted some fun watches that I could just wear, when I'm out and about with my family. I wanted them to be divers. I wanted them to be mechanical. My watch dealer, Rafi, he's known me for 15 years. He said, "Jeff, you're an automatic diver guy. Don't try to pretend otherwise." So I wanted to get some automatic divers, mechanical divers that were fun. And last night I did a loom check on the on what I call the King Monster, mostly known to you as the Baby Tuna. It was excellent, very satisfying, very similar to the Monsters. And it does have lugs. It's got the loom. And back to the type of watches I bought for the last 2 purchases. I want to conclude this by telling you, we go in cycles as watch enthusiasts. We will cycle through a period of wearing a minimalist collection of just luxury, and we'll be happy. And honestly, I've hit a phase where I really appreciate my my $1,200 watches, my Captain Willard, my MM200. But I'm a little tepid right now on those. I'm not going to sell them because I know I'm going through a cycle. I know that that these things go in cycles. I'll probably get more connected to them later. We'll also go through phases where we'll enjoy a huge diversity of watches. We'll have a dozen or so, and then we'll get sick of that. We'll also fall in love with a particular watch. We'll call it our grail. We'll say it cured us of our madness, and then we'll get sick of that. And then some of us will just quit watches altogether, and we'll brag to our watch friends, "Yeah, I'm out of the game, bro." And they'll go, "Wow, you're free. You've been liberated from prison." And then the watch fever will hit us even harder before, like a month, 2 later. It will hit us long before. The other thing is sometimes we'll get sick of a watch and we'll sell it. And then we'll want it again, but it will no longer be available, or it will cost 2 or 3 times more what we paid, which is a buzzkill. So I want to conclude by saying beware of your watch cycles. Don't sell your watches if you can, unless you absolutely hate it with all your might and you have conviction. Because as a watch obsessive, you are susceptible to seller's regret, rebuying, and embarking on the great comeback quest of finding your lost watch. Now, I mean, I had never bought this before, but I did have the black version. It's a gorgeous watch. Glad to have it. And I really don't know where I'm going next. I think I'm looking at Orient right now. because they provide so much quality. I don't know what I'm going to get. I almost bought a bronze Jaguar Eye Gold watch, but then I found out that the black rubber strap, which I'm not a big fan of, I wouldn't be able to get a steel bracelet that would match the bronze color. So, and then the other ones, they have a black crown guard, which I'm not sure if I'm in love with the black crown guard, but they're great value. Rafi grew up in the Middle East in the 70s and 80s, and he told me Orient was a legendary watch over there. He has really fond memories, but who knows, man? I don't know where I'm gonna go. I'm enjoying this what I call the King Monster. Tell me what you think of the King Monster name, ladies and gentlemen. All right, until next time, I'm out.